What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Sixers Digest YouTube channel. My name is Barnard. It has been a bleak summer for Sixers fans. We have James Harden requesting a trade. We have Joel Embiid making comments about wanting to win a championship, whether it be in Philadelphia or anywhere else. We have failed to get past the second round once again, but I'm here to provide some hope. And the biggest reason for that is Tyrese Maxey. I'm here to break down what his future could lead to, what his potential is, what his fit is, and where I see his ceiling as a player. So to get fully into it, how high is Tyrese Maxey's ceiling? That is the $1 million question that impacts the Sixers' future for a variety of reasons. And for starters, there is no doubt that he has been the second best or third best player on the Sixers team throughout the duration of his career, really. Even when he was first drafted, he was a guy who, from the minute that he fell to that 21st pick by the miracle of a Mike Muscala shot, which even gave the Sixers that pick, from the minute that he arrived in Philadelphia, there was a little bit of a spark about him that they have not had in past guys. And I do want to start off with there is a little bit of a movement that I think is kind of unfair to Tyrese Maxey in the way that he has answered every call. He has answered every question, every requirement, everything that has been asked from to this point in time. It does feel like expectations are starting to get to the point where they are so high where I almost feel bad for the guy, and I feel like he might be held in unfair light, that if he does not look like a second best player on a championship team, it's going to be viewed as a little bit of a failure this season, which isn't fair to him because that is not, frankly, the role that he was drafted to fill. That was not the role that he was expected to be in at this point, but that's the situation these Sixers find themselves in. So I want to start off by looking at his stats and how much he's gotten better each season. Look at this mark of improvement. So rookie year, which was the limited minutes for Tyrese Maxey, played 15.3 minutes per game, averaged just 8 points, 2 assists, 1.7 rebounds. The biggest thing that I want to point out here is look at that three-point percentage. 30.1%. That was the concern for Tyrese Maxey entering the NBA, that he was just not a good enough shooter. 30.1% does not cut it in the NBA, and this is coming on the heels of him shooting just 29.2% in college. Then flash forward to the next two seasons in which he saw expanded times. That 21-22 season, he really got thrown to the Wolves by Ben Simmons holding out, got forced into that starting basically point guard job, and he responded, averaging 17.5 points, 4.3 assists, and the three-point percentage, just look at that leap, 42.7%. He was the third best three-point shooter in the entire NBA that season, only to push his mark forward, shooting 43.4% this season from beyond the arc on increased attempts. So that increased volume with the efficiency going up as well is huge. It is amazing and really impossible not to be impressed by. And that going along with his scoring total improving to 20.3 points per game. The assist went down, but that is understandable alongside James Harden. That is the reason that James Harden was there to take the playmaking responsibilities off of Maxey's shoulders. And that has been a huge asset in terms of unlocking him as a player. And that's kind of the crossroads where I think these Sixers find themselves in, is as they continue to search for this James Harden trade and figure out what the ideal return for him is. A lot of this is what fits well next to Maxey. Is he a point guard? Is he just going to be a score-first guy for the length of his career? It's difficult to fully say, and I've seen a lot of critiques about how he can't be a point guard. The bottom line is he has not been asked to do it, and I am in the camp, I am done putting a cap on this guy's ceiling because he's improved in every area that he's been asked to. Even this year, another huge knock about him has been defense. We know he's a little bit undersized. By the end of this season, I would push to say that Tyrese Maxey was at least an average defender, that he was not a guy you could bully off the court or target on the defensive end. He deserves a ton of credit for the work that he's put in, the effort that he has produced in improving in this area. He's gotten more physical. He's way better at just anticipating things, seeing plays happen before they happen. There were some real moments where Maxey flashed as a high-level defender, which I frankly just didn't think he had in the tank based on his first two seasons. So that is another hat tip to him. If that is the case where there is no James Harden, which that is absolutely the plan based on James Harden's camp and everything coming out of there, there may be a world where the keys are just handed to Tyrese Maxey and he's asked to run an offense. He's not a natural playmaker by any sense of the word. He's definitely a score-first guy by instinct. But if he is asked to be a playmaker and be a point guard, I believe that he can do it. There's some indicators that when comparing his stats, the two guys that they kind of mirror the most, and once again, I'll pull up these stats here. The two indicators that this guy gives off are Tony Parker and Dame Lillard. And those are pretty amazing indicators. He is just still 22 years old, so there's plenty still in the tank when it comes to what this guy can become. And the other side of things, which I do want to touch on here, is the trade conversations, because the goal is absolutely to win a championship. Joel Embiid has kind of changed the frame, and it is honestly a huge bummer that the timelines are not more on the same page when it comes to Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, because even by any sense of the word, even as great as Tyrese Maxey already is, the best basketball that he will play is still several years down the line. He's still going to be continuing to get better each year. And if we're looking at, say, Tyrese Maxey at age 26, which is 4 years from now, that's then Joel Embiid at age 34. And that doesn't sound as great. Or 33 or 34, depending on how the birthdays come. He just 29 will be turning 30 during the season. So somewhere within that. But having a 34-year-old Joel Embiid and a 26-year-old Maxey, I don't know if that's quite good enough to win you a championship either. And really, that's kind of the question. And we do have this report from Brian Windhorst here. This comes a couple weeks ago at this point, where it said, I think Maxey is the prime piece. And again, if I'm Philadelphia, I'm making that offer. Dame Lillard might be in Philadelphia right now, but they are not. So that was him kind of doubling down. We've seen a lot of takes from Brian Windhorst. This specific report led him to that kind of hyperbole that he released, where if the Sixers get a call from prime Michael Jordan, they're not trading Tyrese Maxey. It can be LeBron James at 20 years old. They're not trading LeBron James, or not trading Tyrese Maxey. If Giannis Antetokounmpo wants to come to Philadelphia, it only happens if Tyrese Maxey can stay. I don't know if he believes all that. I think that was absolutely an exaggeration on his part, but the point maintains that the Sixers do believe in Maxey. And frankly, when it comes to the Dame Lillard conversations, I think this is the right decision. That I don't think Dame Lillard is that much of a can't-miss piece at this stage in his career that it guarantees the Sixers a championship. There's a lot of good basketball teams out there. It's not like other teams aren't trying to improve their chances, and the biggest holes in the Sixers would not be cured by adding Dame Lillard. Bringing in Dame Lillard doesn't bring you anybody that can guard Jason Tatum in the playoffs or slow down Giannis in the playoffs. These are two things that they will face in this upcoming season that I am much more concerned about than the difference between star level and Dame Lillard and Tyrese Maxey. And this also is very much selling the soul for no future. That's been one of the biggest advantages to Tyrese Maxey, is he's a little bit of that bridge to the next generation of Sixers basketball that I very much believe there's a world where the keys can be handed down to where Joel Embiid is no longer the leading scorer in the NBA, pouring in 30-plus points per game on a nightly basis. Maybe you let Tyrese Maxey run with things more. Let Joel's points drop from 30 to 25, and he kind of takes a little bit of a foot off the gas. He's more impactful defensively. He's more locked in, getting rebounds, which has been a source of frustration for a lot of people based on the regression in that area from Joel. So I do think there's a world where that works, but that only happens if Tyrese Maxey is around. And I just don't see a world where shipping him off for Dame Lillard. And also from the Trailblazers perspective, look at their roster construction right now. They already have Shaedon Sharpe. They already have Anthony Simons. They already have Scoot Henderson. They already have this slew of guards that are impressive and young talents and should be built around. I don't know if adding Tyrese Maxey to this mix, and I get it. I think Maxey can go head-to-head with any one of these guys, but from building a long-term franchise, I don't think Maxey's the building block that they're missing. They should be much more in the market looking for a wing or a big man when you're looking at guys to complement those players with. I think Scoot Henderson's awesome. I think he's a guy that's going to be ready to be crowned the future of that franchise. They already have that guy. They don't need to trade Dame Lillard for him. And it's pretty clear that he is dead set on wanting to go Miami. We've seen that on and on and on. So I guess to circle back to Maxey specifically in Philly, the Harden thing is still the biggest question, and that is the biggest question regarding the Sixers as a whole. And I wanted to bring up these stats here, a look at Tyrese Maxey's stats with James Harden and without him last year. And I get it, this is a small sample size, this can't be everything, but in the 47 games that he played alongside James Harden, averaged 19.0 points, 3.0 assists, 2.7 rebounds, shot 48.6% from the floor, 43.4% from three. In the games without James Harden this year, which was only 13 games. Maxey and Harden were also both hurt for a couple games together when Maxey broke his foot earlier this year. But in those 13 games, he averaged 24.8 points, 5.4 assists, 3.8 rebounds, shot 46.9% from the field, and 43.3% from three. So you see the shooting numbers both go up significantly without Harden. The efficiency dips a little, but not as much as I honestly expected at this point. So that brings me to, what do we take of that? I believe it's time to hand the reins to Tyrese Maxey, that he is ready to step up into that primary role. And no, I'm not saying that he's ready to be a number 2 option on a championship contender, but when you look at the best options for building forward for the Sixers, is to figure out what exactly Tyrese Maxey is. Maybe it doesn't convert to winning a championship this year, but if you take a season where it's just allowing Maxey to play through his mistakes, figuring out how much he can grow as a passer, how dominant he can be as a scorer, as he can be that score-first guy who is taking guys, creating his own shot. We see him working with Drew Hanlon more of late. That's what I want to see, is what exactly he is, because that changes the game plan from here by a drastic measure. It's what's the best player to complement him with. Is it a James Harden-like player who's very much a point guard, a guy that wants to run an offense, have the ball in his hands? I don't think it's that anymore. I think Maxey is ready for more of those responsibilities. Maybe it is a wing that can kind of bridge the gap, who can create on his own when he needs to, but he's not a guy that needs the ball in his hands. But that is what I want to see. Let's figure out what Tyrese Maxey is. Let's figure out the piece that needs to link him and Joel Embiid together. And I get it. It's frustrating to be doing this right now because Joel is very clearly in the prime of his career. And if there is one wrong step or one wrong fall, we're kind of looking at a unpleasant outlook for his future. And that is the risk that we've run with Joel Embiid. If you asked me 5 years ago, if you told me 5 years ago that Joel Embiid would play the amount of games that he has so far, I would be thrilled with the outcome. And it's not a guarantee for how long that lasts. So I understand wanting to go for it right now. And if the opportunity presents itself through a James Harden trade or through a Tobias Harris trade or another avenue of improving, I'm absolutely all for it. But as the cards sit in front of me, I think the best option for the Sixers is right now to hand the keys to Tyrese Maxey, figure out how good he is, what he can be. Even if that means trading James Harden and the return being more picks and young players based, maybe you have to take one step back to go two steps forward. Sometimes that's how it works in the NBA. I don't see this missing star, this missing piece floating anywhere out there, let alone with the market that James Harden demands and the lack of return that he's really commanding right now. So maybe it is just time to eat this, take it on the chin. Let's see what Tyrese Maxey is and move on from here. And you know what? The Sixers might be very grateful that it is the case in the long term. I'm done putting a cap on this guy. He's proved everyone wrong at every step of the way. He has improved at more of a rapid rate than just about any player I've ever seen. A guy going from a player who the knock on him was not a good enough shooter to the third best shooter in the NBA in the span of 2 seasons is unbelievable, and especially to only move that forward in year 3. I can't wait to see what Tyrese Maxey has in store for year 4 because I know he's going to be better in just about every area. There's no doubts about the work ethic of this guy, the type of person he is, the character he is within a locker room. He is everything that a franchise should want to embody, and especially when he is going to be up for his contract extension this next offseason. There was the agreement between these Sixers and Maxey that they did push off that contract extension to offseason, and that is all in good faith that there is a strong relationship there. The main reason for that being that due to the new CBA, delaying that opens up a potential additional max slot by signing him next offseason rather than this. But now we'll get a chance to see maybe he just is that star. Maybe it's one additional star in addition to Tyrese Maxey, and that's the recipe for a championship. So there's still a lot to uncover. There's a lot of reasons to be nervous about where the Sixers go from here, but one of them is not Tyrese Maxey. So thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to drop a like, drop a subscribe to the channel, ring that bell to make sure you know when all our content's coming out. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Drop me your predicted stat line for Tyrese Maxey this season. Appreciate you guys once again. Peace.